Hi Zoe. So yeah, you did have a couple of problems here. They're not big problems though. So okay, so you've got your header, and you can see that these lines drawn, kind of telling you what should go with what. So for instance, the header has the open tag here and a closed tag right here. And we've got inside of that we've got a nav, and inside we've got the banner, which is correct. Okay, and then if we go into the content, this is where there's a problem. So your content is actually empty, so it has nothing in it, as you can see. So what should go inside the content is actually what you've put here, which is the images and the about. And then you've got a footer here, and then you've got articles, and then you've got another footer. So those are problems as well. So first thing I would do is make sure that the images, which is this one here, which is all of that, actually goes into the content. Okay, so I can cut that out just using Control X or Command X if you've got a Mac. And I'm going to put that inside of the content. That's where it should be. Same thing with the about. So the about, which is going to have some text in it, cut that out. And just always make sure you look at the hierarchy here. So we're looking at the content element, the content div, and the content div holds inside of it the images, which will hold a bunch of articles, and also in the same level it will hold the about text. Okay, so these two are siblings basically within this parent, so they're in the same level together. Okay, that footer should not be there, right? So you've got two footers there. The footer at the end is correct, but that footer there, I don't know why you've got that footer there, so I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, now the article, so the div with a class of articles, that also needs to go inside of the content. So I'm going to cut that out. And again, this is going to be a sibling. It's going to be the same level as the images and the about. So that means outside, but inside of the content. So we're inside of the content, paste it in there. Okay, so you've got this div that goes this closed div that goes nowhere, so it's not matched with anything because you've got that closed div which closes there, that div there, that div there, and that div there. So this is just a random closed div that's been added that we don't want. So we want to get rid of that. Okay, so if you take a look at these lines always kind of help for us to be able to see the hierarchy of our elements. So we can see that the header has actually a line out here pointing to the closed header. The nav has a line pointing to the closed nav. Because we haven't actually spaced this out, so later on we're going to be spacing it out like this, we don't have a line drawn between the open and closed tag because they're right next to each other. But all of these, well, the nav and the div with the class of banner are siblings, so they're in the same level. Okay, the anchors are within the nav, so these anchors are siblings to the nav, well, actually siblings to each other, children to the nav. Okay, the content has three children. One is the images, so a div with a class of images. The other one is a div with a class of about, and the last one is a div with a class of articles. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3 siblings. Now, if it does make it easier for you, instead of having them like this, you could just hit enter so that you've got these guys in the same level, as you can see. So you get your open and closed tag. Same thing with the about, so the div with the class of about, because then you can actually see the hierarchy. Yeah, you can see the lines being drawn. So these guys have the same lines drawn, as you can see. So they're siblings, right? So they're in the same level. So yeah, you just had a random closed div tag, you had an extra footer, and you actually had these elements outside of the content, and that's where you went wrong. Okay, So these lines, that's what these lines are for. They're kind of to help you to be able to see the hierarchy when you create elements. So if I save that, if I click on my little preview button, hopefully it'll preview. Yep, there you go. So now it's previewing this site, and you can see it looks fine now. Before it looked okay, but it wasn't structured correctly. Okay, now it looks fine, and it looks like it's working well. Okay, so hopefully that's helped you. To answer your question in terms of your handing in your previous assessment for assessment 2, that's really going to depend, because if you have a lot of errors, it's not going to help you marking wise. Okay, so if you have a lot of errors with your website, I'll have to take a look at it. So if you really want to submit that website in, I'd need to take a look at it and see how many errors you have. It might just be worth starting again, but it really depends. You're going to have to show me the site that you did so that I can take a look at the coding and see if it's really worth putting that in as part of your assessment. Okay. All right, so hopefully that helped